You're listening to the Light Over Time podcast with David Sargent and Korey Bartos. It is December 3rd, 2025, still not 2005. This is episode 60. We've done 60 episodes of the show. Well, we've done 59 episodes of this show. We're about to do 60 episodes. We wanted to come at you guys before the new year. We both will probably be relatively busy. I'm going to San Antonio, and then I'm going to Vortex HQ in Wisconsin, and then the holidays will hit. So my life is crazy. You have children, and it's the holiday season, so I imagine you also have a fair amount of things that will be going on.
Yes, and I happen to also work in retail, so it never stops, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Coffee gift season.
Yes.
So yeah, we got some stuff. Obviously, we have the big gear news from yesterday. David's been cooking outside lately. That's pretty tight watching that. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. I actually haven't done a whole lot of photography in the last week, so I think I'll get it out of my way. Did I talk about the Fjallraven thing last episode, or did I just allude to it?
That you were going to submit.
I submitted to the Fjallraven thing.
I saw the video.
Yeah, and it was very frustrating. That was connected to my loss of data and everything that I had talked about. I believe I have just about everything kind of recovered. Disk drill,
your external hard drive and everything.
Yeah, I got an 8 terabyte on like super sale, so like nice. Less than $100 or something. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, like we're okay. We gotta start. We're mostly backed up. Disk drill, while I don't really have a long-term like review of it, worked quite well.
Nice.
I think it's like $80, and then it's like 119 if you want it like lifetime upgrades.
Oh, okay.
So anytime they upgrade it, I get it for life. I paid the 119. I was like, okay, I'm already in for a penny and for a pound.
Nice, actually.
Yeah, so if you end up losing a hard drive or something, you can come over and I can help you out, and you won't have to buy it, David. But
cool. Put that hex on me like that.
Hey, man, I thought it never happened to me. It didn't happen in 18 years or something like that. So
that's the way it goes.
I think I lost an inconsequential SD card at Camp Thunderbird once, but it was like I lost like 4 hours of footage, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Dang. I don't think I've ever. I'm just not even going to finish that.
Yeah,
sentence.
just knock on wood. Next topic. No, but it's good. You can see that on my Instagram. It was a little like rushed, obviously, because I made it the Saturday before the Monday it was due. But I was happy with it. Yeah, I was happy with it. It's gravy. I hope I can go. Obviously, I've been kind of looking into the best practices for using my equipment in like polar levels of cold. I do quite a lot of cold weather stuff, as do you.
Yeah.
But that might be a little different. Sustained below 20 or whatever is probably going to be 20 to 40 even, I think. It'll be kind of brutal, but excited about that. Got a couple of fun opportunities with work, so hopefully we'll get back to shooting pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess before we get into like gear news, gear woes, gear whatever, let's talk about some of your adventures, because you've been like out in the cold.
Adventures, yeah. Okay, so I think I had 3 sessions since the last episode. I think really 2, but the first one I'm going to talk about, I think I did the morning of or the morning before our last show, and I didn't have images to share from that, but now I do. So the Black Rocks, just honestly, Prescott Park is so just rife with good photo opportunities.
Yeah.
So the Finch photographer group, a bunch of us met up there for sunrise. And
is that your first photos? Because I can jump over to the photo share.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So that's 1 and 2 of the
perfect.
Yep, of the folder there.
Heck yeah, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of my okayer shots, I guess. I don't love it because I'm facing away from the sun, but
right.
The towards the sun was really, really inconsistent because clouds kept pushing in front of the sun and stuffing things out and then moving away from the sun. But the top levels of those clouds to the other side were pretty consistently kind of lit up like that. So it almost was the better idea to stay looking that way. But
Yeah.
because the clouds kept breaking up to the sun, I kept turning around and turning around and turning around. I couldn't decide and just stick with one composition. So I ended up with a bunch of different shots here that I'll share later on in Instagram or something. But this one was nice, a little bit of color on the clouds. You don't always get out and get color when you get a sunrise, but when we were looking at the forecast, it looked like there was a chance for some breakups of the clouds. So this is sometimes what you get, just a little splash. So you had to work with what you had, right? And just bouncing around the rocks is what we do there. So find a couple of good rocks to make a foreground composition with. I found a little puddle, and away we went.
Yeah. Nice and washed off. 15 seconds is wild. Were you on an ND or anything, or just F16 for that?
Definitely had the KNF 2 to 6 stop.
That's what I figured. Yeah, I was like that sun or just the sky is bright enough that you would probably have needed something.
Yeah.
Oh, who's this little person?
That's Miles.
Oh,
Yep. Just running around on Black Rocks. So
Nice.
there must have been 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 of us that
Cool.
day on that morning. So Miles is usually out there with us pretty often. And I thought pushing in a little bit on the zoom. I can't remember what my focal length was there.
28. It looks like.
Oh, okay. That was at 28. Oh, seems like a little further in than that. But having those trees kind of pulled in against him made it look a little bit more wild than it really is.
Yeah.
Those trees are across the cove there, so right over where he's stepping, Lake Superior comes in. So that's what he was looking at. But I thought it was nice.
Yeah, heck yeah. This
And
is
then-
is this the spot that we saw the peregrines and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, so if you look past him and up is where it was roosting.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah, for sure. That's sick.
And then we had Snowpocalypse, which was kind of Snowpocalypse. It was okay. It actually just ended up being a pretty typical deep winter storm here in the UP.
Yeah. If we got what you got down here, it would absolutely be Snowpocalypse. That's pretty typical UP stuff up there. You're like, oh yeah, we're getting. What was your total for like your yard?
Between that Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the end of Thanksgiving, I would say we got 20 inches.
Yeah, see, that's crazy. Most people listening, other than the guys up there that listen, would be like, "Excuse me, sir, what you said 2-0?"
The thing is, the forecast, that's the minimum. The minimum, it was 20 to 40 inches. So I was prepared for a real socking with that stuff. So
I told Elle, I was like, "Yeah, David said the forecast is 40 inches," and she said 40 or 14. I said 40. He stands
we got 14
to get
on just that Wednesday.
Right, yeah.
Going all the way through. But yeah, it ended up being about 20 inches in my yard in Ishpeming. I think like west of us, like Houghton area, got it a lot worse than we did. And I remember the first year we moved up, it was like a month after we moved in the house, we got a storm over one day. We got 32 inches.
Yeah, that's
it was
crazy, man.
Not quite that. I was prepared for that because the news hyped it up. But anyway, I still wanted to get outside and take pictures. And I think it was Thanksgiving evening that I went out and walked around downtown Ishpeming. I got a set of snowshoes for my birthday.
Nice.
And finally got to use them and took that out downtown. I probably looked a little silly because some of the sidewalk was cleared, so I wasn't really like walking through deep snow most of the time. But some of the sidewalks were not because the snowplows pushed it over to the sidewalk, so it was kind of fine. But I just wanted to get some practice in because I haven't snowshoed since I was 15.
Yeah, it's fun. It's wild. It's very strange.
It makes it really like. It seems silly to say it, but it makes it like easy to traverse in snow.
Yeah, weird how that works. I was talking to somebody about it recently. I don't know. It might have been you, but it might have been Elle. But when we did Superior and we like snowshoed over to Grand Isle, it's about a mile to get across Superior to get into Grand Isle from Munising. And that walk was like relatively chill. It was on the lake and there was probably just a couple inches of snow. But then we get probably like a quarter mile in and we're like, I don't know, it can't be that bad, right? And we kicked off the snowshoes and we fell in like a foot and a half and we're like, oh my God, we would die. Like if somebody snowmobiled you out there, didn't give you snowshoes in the middle of Grand Isle, it would take you 3 days to get to the edge of the island because it's like impossible to walk.
It's a wild difference. It's almost like you're not walking in snow. It's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, just the images from downtown Ishpeming, it was kind of cool. Again, we had talked about, I think we were talking about Fuji for some reason, and I was like, and you were like, doesn't the ZF do it for you? And I'm like, yeah, of course it does.
Yeah.
So that Thanksgiving evening, I went out, I put the Provia film sim recipe on. I stuck the film grain option on, and I shot JPEG, and these are straight out of the camera JPEGs.
More.
I don't know, just a fun way to use that camera. And I only do this like 1% of the time when I'm using the ZF. It's a lot for work. But when I'm just walking around and I want to look and I know that I just want these images um, the way they're going to look with these recipes, I don't need to touch them. So
Yeah.
there's three of them there. The house with all that snow, that's what a lot of houses would look like.
Yeah.
I got downtown and that dresser sitting there in front of that bay door looked so strange. I don't know
Yeah.
why, so I just lined it up.
Yeah, it's fun.
And the dude walking the dog, and yeah, just some vibes around town. Thought it was fun.
Yeah. It's beautiful up there, man. I love those small towns. Like
Yeah.
I definitely took it for granted when I lived up in Afton, Michigan, which is the middle of nowhere. But yeah, going to school out in Petoskey and stuff, seeing these little towns is fun.
And then I think it was Sunday. What's today? Today's Wednesday. Yeah, I think on Sunday morning, Tony and I got out to Black Rocks again. But this time another winter storm was hitting. I think we got a few more inches on that, but it was very, very windy. The snow was whipping down like sand. It was kind of insane to be out there. And the waves were crazy. Just like, I don't know. They were just crazy. Very, very, very hard hitting waves on Black Rocks, making huge, huge crashes. Very fun to watch. So while we were well layered up, again, we had the snowshoes on. My snowshoes have ice cleats on them, as did
Yeah.
Tony's. So when we got to Black Rocks, you have to be extremely careful when it's these winter storms, because for a couple of reasons. First, all the water that's being brought up on the rocks that don't normally make it up that high are going to freeze over.
Right.
And so if you're trying to walk without anything on your feet, you're probably going to slip. The ice cleats made it so I never slipped once, which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then two, the other thing I did have a problem with was all that water being brought up. There are plenty of little pockets where water can sit.
Yeah.
And if it's deep enough, the air is not going to freeze all of that right away, but the snow was just covering water puddles that we couldn't see. So if I was stepping onto snow that I couldn't tell was clearly right on top of rock, I could have stepped in water. And I did one time. My foot went down to about close to my shin. And so I did get water in my right boot, and that kind of sucked, but I kept moving and it never felt like it was a real danger. But just something to keep in mind
Yeah.
when you're out at Black Rocks in the winter and you can't see what you're stepping on, be aware you might be stepping into water.
Yeah. And like, if you're going in and out, it's not too bad. If you were like winter camping or something, you pretty much have to take care of that right away, or else you stand to, really, really hurt your feet.
Right. Yes. And even with snowshoes and ice cleats on, if I did somehow slip, the cleats could still catch the ice, and if I slipped with my feet, locked into those things, that could be a real bad day. So anyway, I got a few images, 4 images out of that.
Yeah.
There are plenty more. I shot 2,894
Yeah,
images.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
There was a lot of action, dude. It was
Was this where you did the reel of those video
Yeah.
shots? Yeah, it looked gorgeous, man. Like
yeah.
you're just getting ocean waves. Like, oh god, I went to the fourth one. This is epic.
I know, I know. I narrowed it down to about 100, and I edited for this. But the first image, that number 6, is that there's a line of pine trees going in. You saw huge, huge pine trees. I'm sure they've been there for a long, long time. Sometimes these stronger winds take some down, so that's one of the bigger ones. It's kind of surprising to see when it happens, but it's nature for you. And then 8. I mean, I didn't type 7. So 8 is Tony with his stuff on, the snowshoes and taking pictures. There was like everything along the lakeshore there. All of those, like all that vegetation gets like wet from rain, and then it gets ice over and stuff like that. So that ended up looking really cool. So he was taking a shot of that. So I thought it was nice to get a few different types of shots of him and us in this environment shooting.
Yeah.
I kind of like to do that. And then the last two, this is what I was really trying to focus on was, okay, how do I actually use this to some artistic advantage? I love shooting long exposure in general, but like water especially. A long, long time ago, I think almost a decade ago now, I had like a mentor photographer who I traveled along with to Lake Superior here, and his advice to me was try to shoot it at 1/10 of a second and see what that looks like. And I fell in love with that relative shutter speed with um, the motion of the water here. And so I've always returned shooting around that shutter speed to try to make something a little more creative. So number 9 is
Is
this
is
rock sticking out.
is that handheld, by the way?
Everything is handheld.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Because I mean,
Yeah.
you got stellar stabilization and stuff on that, so
Yeah. hmm
it
And
wouldn't be too hard at 1/8 of a second there.
some of the point of shooting almost 3,000 images was I had about 20 of these to pick from.
Right. Yeah.
If I had it at 20 FPS, I was only shooting for a second. So I picked the sharpest out of that. I liked the composition, and then I thought this was good practice to do a bunch of different types of masking, to like put a little more creative editing into the water and whatnot to make it a little more dramatic. So I did that, and then number 10, this was where we basically ended. I'm not in love with this edit because I was doing this one last night. It's a little hot, it's a little saturated. I might revisit this, but just gives you the sense of what we were in and looking at. And this doesn't even actually cover the height of the crashing waves, but it's a cool shot. I think Tony is out where Miles was at the other shot
Yeah.
the other day, and then this is what he would have been looking at. So I crawled up around to the right and got that view looking out, and I thought this was a great vantage point for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's epic.
Yeah, and that's basically all the shooting I've done. I did do a little photo shoot with my kids down at the skate park in Ishpeming before the snow hit, and they got their Razor scooters out.
Yeah,
And we had some fun.
I enjoyed those. Yeah, you had Superman by Goldfinger playing,
Yes.
and old Tony Hawk throwback, and then that's good.
My kids, man, they ride scooters in our yard on the sidewalk. And when the skate park got built, it finished being built in November. They were like, "Can we go? Can we go?" I'm like, "All right." So we got them helmets, and they rocked it like they've been doing it for a couple of years. It's crazy.
It's
Kids
funny.
are crazy, man.
Yeah, they're if left unhindered, they'll do wild things.
Oh yeah, the first day my son took a nice smackaroo to the cheek there, and he got right up. The next day he wanted to go right back. That night he wanted to be done that day, but
Yeah.
he they definitely love that. So
Yeah, that's
it was fun.
epic. Yeah, heck yeah. Um, yeah. So re the film sims from your Nikon. So
Mm.
I wanted to, as a what would you say, as an advisory to those who maybe haven't had a lot of modern cameras, when your camera company does a firmware update, you should wait. Same with your phone, same with your computer. You should probably wait and make sure that bugs are worked out. Looks like the brand new A7 IV firmware 6 got recalled because it sounded like it was bricking cameras, which can happen. I mean, that's the thing. But what I was really devastated to see was about a month prior, Sony updated the A1 II and the A9 III for film simulations for just two picture profiles. One is like an instant and one is like a 35mm film like thing. And they're fine. Like I actually quite like the instant one. It's very similar to my like old boy preset that I use for like a film vibe. But on the A1 II and the A9 III, like the cameras, nobody is walking around doing Fuji like photography. Like, and I was like, okay, like it'll probably just come to the other cameras. They were just like, gonna see how it goes. I figured, A7CR, A7C2 would be the
Right.
first cameras to get something like that. The ones that are in that kind of realm. Those got an update as well. It didn't get that. Then the A7 IV got a pretty major firmware update actually, which I'm grateful that they would do that right before launching the A7 V. But
Yeah.
actually a lot of like nice updates there. So I hope that they get it sorted out because I'll probably end up upgrading it for the work camera. But then to not see that on there. So I guess I didn't see anybody talk about it on the A7V videos, but I'd be curious if they put it on the A7V.
Oh yeah, I don't remember seeing
Yeah,
anything
I don't
about
think
that.
a single person talked about it. So,
Hmm.
but disappointing because
Do you think
like,
some intern who only works on those two cameras was like, these are for you boys?
yeah, right. Like, I don't know because I mean, I have to imagine that the A9 III and the A12 teams are different than the A7V team, right? Like
Maybe.
Sony's a huge company. If
Yeah.
if it works like any other company that's doing a lot of engineering, it's not like the same three dudes are on every single camera firmware and everything. And we
Uh-huh.
already know that the FX cameras are on a totally different team, but
Sure.
I just thought that was so weird. Like,
Yeah, it
why?
is weird.
Like, I get it, but I guess I hope to see them on the C series cameras because I think that's where they'd shine the most. That's where I would use it the most. I haven't
I
given
think
it
it
a
makes the
whole,
most sense.
yeah, I haven't given it a whole lot of juice yet. But maybe I'll take my A9 III out and kind of use both of them a little bit so I can share next episode.
Yeah.
And just see if I even like them.
Yeah.
I think, our conversation about Fuji and stuff, I realized that like the vibe and the hype of it is why I like Fuji. And every time I touch one, I'm so disappointed in them.
Oh, by the way, we were talking about I wish camera manufacturers would produce profiles for Lightroom. While that's still true, apparently Nikon does do that for all of their built-in profiles for NX Studio,
Mm,
which makes sense.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I'm sure there's other ways around it. I actually, now that I'm right here, I thought for sure there was like camera matched Lightroom options, and none of my Lightrooms have it now. And I know for a fact that they existed at one point.
I feel
Um,
like you're right about that.
and now it doesn't even have like the there's like 10 Adobe ones, and now I don't even see like Adobe Color, Adobe Portrait.
That's because Adobe knows best, don't you know?
Well, no, I understand that, but I don't see the Adobe ones.
Oh.
Like the ones that I remember being there, which is like standard and all that stuff, gone.
Hmm.
So now I'm just on. It's like color or monochrome is in the profile section now, which is very strange.
Interesting.
So yeah, I'm gonna look into that more, and we'll re that topic as well because you're right. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity, especially as far as um, people talking about trying to get filmic. Because
Yeah.
like if you do a lot of film photography, you know that your digital camera is never gonna look like film.
Right.
The things that it's doing to highlight roll off and things like that is like a chemical process. It's very
Correct.
hard to replicate, you know, that happening. But yeah, I think there's still so much that can be done to kind of make the editing experience in Lightroom even better. And to say that in 2025 when everybody's trying to leave it is mind blowing.
Wow.
Because there's like three things that Adobe could do for me that would make me just like fall back in love with them, but they won't. So
Well, there's always things. I mean, the trend. I get you could call it a trend of trying to um, emulate that retro experience. That's been going for a long time, and these film sims that I've been using obviously are doing that. Of course, would I like those to somehow be a profile on Lightroom that I could apply to a raw file? Yeah, but at the same time, I'm using this camera that way to have that more I guess instant and direct in yeah, direct experience, I guess,
yeah,
in that way. So I'm okay with that. I think I just want to have my cake and eat it too, you know.
yeah, I completely agree. And like for me, if I could just put a Lightroom preset on my camera,
Yeah,
like, I
right.
mean, because I use my old boy preset on, and I actually made one called New Boy because my old boy one's a little heavy handed. It pulls the
Okay,
blacks just up a little too much, and there's a little too much grain.
sure.
Elle really likes it on anything I take on a phone,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the magic of it. It looks really good on a phone photo, and it looks really
Mm,
good on a mirrorless camera photo. Um, I spent the most time on that, so I'm glad that I actually used that a ton.
good.
I think I have like 5 Lightroom presets that I've developed from scratch that I use for everything,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. There's 2 that I go back and forth with Detroit Gunworks stuff, and then I literally have it's called JW Blue Hour and JW Golden Hour. I think I've talked about before. which is 90% of my Jaegerworks stuff, and then I have old boy and new boy. But
I will say there's a subreddit for Nikon ZF users specifically,
yeah,
and it seems to be a growing community of people who are actually contributing to recipes for people to download, which
yeah,
is nice. This is like exactly what I guess Nikon and anybody who uses these things, this is what you'd want to see. You
right.
built the platform for people to make something, to make recipes, to make simulations, these film looks. Yeah, people are going to do it, and I'm using it. I'm having a lot of fun. There's a couple other people in there who are like, every other day I'm seeing a new look come up, and I'm like, oh, that looks nice. And I, it's really nice to just see that grow. So I'm hoping for more of that in other camera manufacturers. I'm not sure if Canon has something up their sleeve as far as like a retro style camera, but
I think they've directly said to multiple people, multiple YouTubers, that they have no interest and they won't do it.
which is weird because you're seeing that demand. I mean, we've seen that demand with Fuji for a long time, but at the same time, even if they don't design a camera that way, it's still nice to have that platform so people can do that. I don't know if Canon supports that in the same way.
Right. Yeah. Um, I mean, we'll see. I
Yeah,
think I
we'll
think
see.
that I think that little niche is probably smaller than a lot of people think. Um,
100%. But
uh,
it's just so enjoyable to be in.
yeah, and I agree. I think that's fun. I wish it was a little easier to kind of cultivate that kind of stuff for all the camera systems, because I think there would be a little I think there would be a little group for Sony guys. I think there would be a little group for Canon guys if they somehow tried to go there.
Yeah,
Um, the other edge of that is I know a lot of people. I think Tyler Stallman started this when ChatGPT 4 like first came out. You can pretty much like drop a couple photos, say this is Portrait 400. Can you make me a Lightroom preset for this camera? And it's scary good. It looks like something. I don't know how accurate it is to the actual film sims, but
right.
I'm sure, unfortunately, there's a lot of that in the groups that are making film recipes and stuff because people are boring.
Right. Yeah.
But oh man, and then dude, it's so funny if maybe it's just the algorithm or whatever. But if I go on Threads, that's like the biggest conversation I'm seeing in my Threads right now, is like people just screaming to high heavens, like arguing for and against the use of AI. And I'm wondering if there's like bots. So Nate in the Wild, if you're familiar with him, he's a Sony
Yeah.
Alpha shooter. It has crazy opportunities. I mean, this dude gets like insane footage of wildlife and stuff all the time. Um, he's been like, I don't know if he's just taking the rage bait or whatever, but he's just out there like just spamming on people's posts about
Sure.
AI stuff, and how he's like not gonna ever like succumb to like my work is never going to be AI. Which for
Yeah.
somebody who's always in the field and always making stuff and making pretty spectacular looking like aurora, polar bear, like pretty crazy
Yeah.
shit, you have to go, okay, like I am gonna put my foot down. But I can't help but think it's like either maybe there's like Gen Alpha, Gen Z, like kids that actually think that AI is the future and everything about it is awesome, or it's just like a bunch of trolls. Because like one dude was literally talking about um, comparing it to digital photographers coming into a world of film photography and like journalism and stuff like that, and how they're like, yeah, nobody ever thought that like digital would take off. And he's just like, he's losing it. Like he's about to just like completely melt down because he's like, it is not the same.
No.
Like both of those people are still going and taking photos and doing stuff. You're
Yes.
talking about just generating images out of nothing, which is not anything. No one cares about. And I'm
And
like,
not
dude,
even nothing built on everything everyone's done.
yeah. And it's like, brother, you need to like not take the rage bait. I love you, but uh,
In a
maybe
more broad sense, that is what Threads is a lot of. Is so much rage bait.
it's just rage bait. And that's what
Oh,
happens when you
so
make a
much.
platform that rewards it directly, because they whatever their algorithm thing that they talked about, they're like, yeah, it's going to be like really conversational and stuff. And I think for the first week it kind of was.
Yeah.
Like people
I
were like,
still try to like cultivate that for me there.
yeah, I gave up on it recently. Like
Mm.
you'll make
It's
posts,
so tough.
no one will see it, and that's why everyone is like, hey, it's free to support a photographer from like North California who does this, and it's like an AI girl, like
Yeah.
the hottest AI girl, and then a bunch of like random photos, and it has like 4,000 likes. You're like, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
this place is fodder.
Yes.
Or it's just
So
like
bad.
there was one kid and his entire Instagram blew up, and I think this is part of my Fuji rage. Is he was like, imagine shooting raw photos in 2025 is how he starts every one of his like Fuji posts.
This is what it is, man.
And I was like, wow, like it's just like people being ridiculous to get other photographers mad, and like people are taking the bait the whole time.
That was it Webster's Dictionary word of the year or whatever it is? The word of the year that I think it's Webster's. Rage bait was the word for 2025.
It should be, because
It
that's
should be.
all it is, and it's I'm so grateful, even as small as our Discord is, for having any real. I mean, Tony's message the other day made it completely worth it to me. If one dude felt even slightly more inspired and
Yeah.
like was just more into it and more involved because of the Discord, we won. We won 2025. Like
For sure.
that's all that freaking matters.
I will
So
take 10 real connections over 1,000 followers that I don't know every day of the week.
yeah, it's awesome. It's helped me re-engage on the platforms too, because I don't spend a lot of time there now. Obviously, I have like 8 accounts that I'm trying to like sort out. I'm gonna put them onto the iPad, so I'm not on my phone as much, and I have to like be more deliberate with them.
Sure.
But it's become more easy to see somebody trying,
Mm-hmm.
because you see what trying looks like, and then you see what like I only make Instagram bangers, and like it's just like the same stuff.
Yeah.
So it's cool. There's still a decent amount of that in wildlife, which is fun. And now that it's getting cold weather, I've seen some people getting spectacular stuff in like normal areas, and I'm like, I need to leave Lansing and do something, because like people are getting sick stuff, and it's cold. Um, anyway, to spiral. That all happened because I think for me, unless some serious overhaul happens to like the film sim JPEG thing, I feel like I'd probably end up shooting JPEG and RAW anyway, and then I'd end up editing my photos, and more than likely using
Yeah.
my film presets that I've made for myself. So if Sony wants to be awesome and somehow let me do real-time LUTs in the form of a Lightroom preset on their cameras,
That'd be very cool.
that'd be sick. I don't know that they'd do that though. That seems like you got to have some money in Adobe's hand to do that.
Yeah. I remember when I had the A7 IV, just before I sold it, doing black and white straight out of JPEG stuff. And that was fun because there was a black and white lever, if I remember correctly,
There's
a black and white mode.
profile. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was a lot of fun. And I kind of wish I had done that a lot earlier with that camera because those looks were nice. But I, of course, would like a bunch more options in there, like you just said.
Yeah, for sure. And man, the freaking, before we get into the A7V, the sensor on the A7 IV is still sauce.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
that's a great camera.
Very good.
33 megapixels is kind of like, other than my A9, which is like obviously a highly specialized camera, 33 is like sweet spot. I've been realizing lately just how much of my photography is the A7 IV and the Sigma 28 to 70, and I'm like, dang, it's gonna be brutal when I got to give this camera back.
You know, it's so interesting because I remember going from the D850's 45 megapixels down to the what to 24 of the A7 III and the A7C, and going, man, I notice it. It's worth it for the bumps in performance, but I notice it. And then I go to the A7 IV, and it's like, okay, this is really nice. And now I'm back and forth between the Z8 and the ZF with 45 again and 24 again, and like, you know what, it does not matter that much. If I'm
Yeah.
really looking for it, it's nice to have, but no one cares this much as much as I do when I'm looking
Yeah.
that hard.
Well, and that's the difference between like I'm about to take some landscape stuff,
Yeah.
like with my ZF or my Z8, right? Like you're
Right.
gonna grab your Z8.
Mhm.
It's just gonna do that better.
Yes,
But like you're not gonna not get the shot if you don't have your Z8 on you.
for sure.
Much of that, which we haven't actually talked about recently, is glass. Get glass that you really love, that like inspires you to shoot, that you like the images that come out of it, and your camera body will matter a lot less. I see people
Yeah.
that care a lot about the specs of their body still running like kind of not turd glass, but like if you're on like your third Sony camera and you're still on like their FE primes, which have a ton of chromatic aberration, they're not super
Yep.
fast. Like there's a chance that if you just upgrade some glass, like get a GM like prime. Maybe it's
Yeah.
not for you. Maybe if you're cool with manual, you can go with, you know, some stuff with more character. I know a lot of people like to try to poo-poo GM glass, and I think that's rage bait because
They need to try it. Once you try good glass, you see the megapixels you bought.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and like the sharpness is more often like just hitting autofocus in harder
Yeah.
instances.
Yeah.
Like slap the 70 to 200 of any camera brand on one of their newer, faster cameras, and most of the cameras can go faster than that lens can. So like you're getting all the performance you can out of it.
True.
I can't even imagine. I still want to use Canon's new like Z, very confusing Z 70 to 200
yeah.
2.8, because I just bet it's great. My
I'm sure.
long-standing favorite lens of all time is the L series 70 to 200. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so you probably need glass, and you know, to not be on YouTube probably, but still listen to our show. We appreciate it.
We do.
So yesterday morning,
The reason we're recording on December 3rd in the
yeah,
morning.
to talk about the long-awaited, especially on this show, kind of what the final major brand was going to do with their intermediate level camera, and while I think superficially, because we've been kind of spinning up to it with the rumors for a while, it wasn't like whoa.
Correct.
I think they nailed all the important stuff in my
They did.
opinion.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I didn't expect. That's what I want to get into first, because everybody knows that it was
Yes.
partially stacked. Everybody knows that it's whatever.
Well, even that was contentious for a little bit.
Yeah, but they were pretty. The last 2 to 3, 4 weeks or so, they like kind of knew. They were like, "This is a new sensor. It's not."
Well, there was more. It's more than that. We'll talk about that
Yeah,
later. But
yeah.
it was actually two different things that really made this kind of different.
Yeah. So the thing that, well, I guess the thing that really is making it quite an upgrade is the processor.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, is putting the AI chip on the processor, making that like really trimming that down, making it so the thermal performance is better, the battery life is better.
I'm like, is it the same processor, but they just made it so much more efficient?
I mean,
is the AI on that chip doing that for the chip?
well, I mean, it's a totally new processor. It's definitely there. It's the Bion's XR2 or whatever. So it's like,
because supposedly 20% longer battery life.
Yeah.
Much better thermals.
Yeah.
And everything that comes with readout speed and shooting.
Yeah. So there was a couple of people that said one way or the other what the readout speed is. In photos, it's 14 milliseconds. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not 12. But 14 is great.
14's good.
And then in video, it actually goes down to like, I think 10 or 12. So obviously you have less of the entire sensor. It's only 16:9 for video, so you're getting a little faster. But that contends with the A7S3.
Sure.
Like you're getting like pretty fast 16:9 readout, which is great. But the thing that I didn't expect or think that I wanted, but I always want it, I never not want it, Sony, is their dual native ISO.
I knew you were going to say that.
In S-Log3 is 808,000.
8,000.
That is encroaching on why the A7S3 was so good. I heard like one dude talk about this.
When I was watching Petapixel's review, and I remember telling you that I'm trying to find interesting talking points. That was the first thing I wrote down. Yeah,
because it's the okay. So I don't want to get into the science because I'm not the science guy. Definitely not Bill Nye over here, but 8,000 ISO in S-Log is not quite the same as performing 8,000 ISO in like a standard picture profile.
Right.
It's not like that much light, but what it is doing is like 10xing, because 800 to 8,000 that's a substantial jump. That's the difference between like me needing to turn on an entire light. That's the difference between me getting another like 30 to 40 minutes when the sun is going down, which is a shooting situation I have at work all the time because we normally do range days in the late afternoon and will go into the nighttime. Um, Getting like that just beyond blue hour when we're doing like night vision shooting or something, like being able to get native at 8,000 means I'm probably going to get up to 10,000 with noise that's appropriate for me. Maybe 12,800 where I'm still not that upset about it.
Sure.
Because that's not quite another stop. That's an incredible utility. That's not the case with the A9 III, which is a bummer. It just has 4,000 ISO as S-Log3, I believe.
That's
think
my
it's, I think
Z8
it's 4,000.
also.
Yeah, and that's awesome, and that's plenty, but it's not like having an A7S3, which is the only feature I miss about the A7S3 is 12,800 S-Log.
Yeah.
My A9 III does everything else that thing can do. Everything else kind of does 80% of what that thing can do.
I don't think a lot of people realize that feature is one of the things that made the A7S3 so desirable.
Yeah. If you've never shot the S-Log3 at 12,800, it's wild. So I was able to shoot like 25.6 in the early morning, basically. So we would have a changeover during camp, Thunderbird, and there was 4-week campers and 8-week campers. And when the 4-week campers would leave, they would all leave super early in the morning. The buses would show up, and it was before sunrise, like heavily, because they're trying to get all over the country and out to the airport and stuff. And shooting those moments of like friends saying goodbye to each other was a huge part of like the video.
Yeah.
Being able to shoot 25,600 and like just be fine. Everything is lit by just
additional
like,
lighting.
without additional lighting. That
Cool.
like there was like a light on the lodge probably 50 yards away, and then like
the difference of you taking an authentic clip there,
right,
and then being noticed because you had a light on.
Yeah, none of those people knew I was filming them. Well, they knew that they're being filmed because they everybody has seen all the videos and they know that the camera people are walking. But you'll see like the photographer will be walking around doing flash photography, and you're like, that's brutal.
Yeah,
like these are young kids like crying and hugging, and
it allowed you to get real moments.
Yeah, and it's epic. And like that's just insane. That's such low light. You put and I was running a f1.8 or an f1.4 at the time, probably an f1.8. Probably my 85 back then, and just epic. So that's huge. I'm excited for that. The 60p and 120p, totally appropriate. Like down. I'm glad that you can kind of do 60p, full frame with basically no qualms at all. The readout speed's plenty. Everything's fine to make that slow motion stuff go. 10 FPS for mechanical's fine. 30, I'm really interested in actually trying the 30. None of the videos that I found showed like I want to see like birds flapping their wings. Like I want to see like geese landing in the lake where with a really big lens, so I know what that I'm spoiled now. I have a global shutter, so like I'll be a little sensitive to just how much I can push that in what situations.
I always said I would be fine with the A7 IV's 10 FPS if the electronic shooter was usable for wildlife.
Right.
It just wasn't. So with everything else, that is a usable 30 FPS. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could get close in some situations to being okay with the A7 IV. But there was a lot of moments where it was too brutal.
At 500 mil tracking, it couldn't.
Yeah,
it just couldn't.
Yeah, you'd whip around and it's super brutal.
Bad.
And then another thing that people are like, okay, well the Canon's faster and like some of this other stuff is faster. Yes, but they still have, I would say, probably industry leading pre-capture. Seeing as it's like proper pre-capture with RAWs and everything like that for like a whole second, you can have it go. And what was I going to say? I was between the burst, so 30 FPS with pre-capture. Their buffer isn't super huge. I'd be curious to see what would happen. I don't know if Chris from Petapixel had a Gen 4 Type A Sea of Express. So I'd have to see what that OWC was. So like maybe you could squeeze out a few more. But I think he was getting like just under 100 or something like that. Which, I mean, realistically, having a camera with a bigger buffer that can shoot faster than this, it's a pain in the ass. Most situations, that's a lot. You're gonna probably be down to 20. 30 is just like burning through. I mean, like
Yeah, I often knock it down well below 20 if I don't
yeah.
really need it.
Yeah, 15 to 20, especially for like normal birds.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd keep it up to like 120 if I'm trying to get a kingfisher hitting the water. But like
Right.
normal small birds, you're just gonna burn through cards if you're.
Once you're in it, you know the scenarios where you want that speed.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think you can set one of your custom buttons to how I set my 120.
Yeah.
So you can have it be in mechanical shutter, and you can have a hold function that puts it.
Turbo mode.
Yeah, so you can have a hold function to go into electronic shutter at whatever shutter speed you choose, and have pre-capture all at the same time.
That would be sick. All at the same time would be
So
awesome.
so yeah, you can just kind of switch between that. I turn my pre-capture on and off manually because sometimes I want it, sometimes I don't, and I just want speed boost.
Sure.
But I have that extra button on the A9 III where this body doesn't have the extra button.
Yeah.
The dynamic range, they didn't kind of do what all the other people did, where like Nikon kind of just ate it and made it so their electronic and mechanical shutter works kind of the same. You are getting a slight improvement on mechanical shutter, but that's good. That can be a good thing.
Yep.
I don't know the exact details of it because I was more interested in kind of the fact that one of the modes is like field of view priority for between 60p and 120p. And
this was a little confusing to me.
So I understand what they're saying. You're going to get a little bit of a crop to kind of make your field of view similar in those modes to, I believe, the APS-C mode. And then you'll get, it'll be like normal. But you can have your full width, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't correct you if you're
well, I mean, in the comments. But in one of the modes, it actually takes away noise reduction.
Yeah, this was something I saw that it had to do with that.
So this is interesting. So the Sonys notoriously don't shoot RAW. One of the things that if you're kind of really handy with shooting video, you kind of sometimes want to handle your noise reduction yourself. It's one of the main reasons RAW is good. And it's one of the main reasons why kind of novice filmmakers will end up getting something that shoots RAW and they're like, it looks worse than all of my other. That's because your camera is often doing a lot of really good things that are kind of objectively like necessary.
Yeah.
You're at 5,000, 6,400 ISO in video. There's a lot of noise reduction here, so this looks like the best it can look out of camera.
Yeah.
Which for the general shooter who's just like trying to get the shot, that works great.
Right.
When you know what you want to do and like say you want to retain all the detail you can, there's also kind of like localized noise reduction where you can just have it happen in like the truest black parts of your frame and things like that. If you want to control that because you're really serious, that's an awesome feature.
Yes.
I don't think anybody talked about it. I think Gerald talked about it in that he kind of said, just know that if you don't want to have to add noise reduction and stuff to your footage, that you'll likely want to keep this like setting on or whatever. And I was like,
I think Jordan touched on it for a brief moment, but I didn't think it gave enough clarity to all of this.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really did.
Right.
But there's a huge advantage to having a mode that takes off the in-body noise reduction. That's pretty much the TLDR.
That's the truth. It
Yeah.
is. If you are deep in that handling that footage, you want that.
Yeah, it's a cool option. So
yeah.
I know it can get really muddy in high ISOs on normal picture profiles, especially like a Cinetone or something. Like kick that up, 4 or 5 stops higher on your ISO than you would normally shoot something, and just kind of see how mucky it can get.
Right.
And that's just because like most cameras, they're going to add noise reduction. That's smart. It'd be stupid not to.
And that might, on the other end of that, if it's noisy, it's also going to give you finer detail too.
Right.
So you can retain that if you're okay with the noise.
Yeah. There's times where you want the detail, you don't care that there's noise.
Yeah.
Something documentary like. There's a lot of reasons why you're like, I don't care about noise. I'm just trying to show you what's happening.
Yes. When the narrative is strong, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's all tools, right? So, pretty cool. I would say coming out of watching kind of the initial videos and stuff and listening to some people talk, I think Sony did exactly what they had to do with this camera. Um,
Exactly what they had to do. Um, I I was telling you, I'm trying to figure out what are the nice differentiating points on this versus the R6 Mark III. There are some, but I don't think interesting enough to have anybody go from one system to the other,
no,
which is usually
it's
the
because they're
case.
all good.
They're
But
all good.
what's awesome is if you're going to upgrade in any system, say you're like an A6500 user, or you're like a Canon, I don't even know, EOS R even, or you're still sitting on one of their the R7 or the
Yeah.
R10 or something. Um, their intermediate cameras are now, I would consider, basically no compromises. You're I think anybody in any system can use the intermediate camera on their system and absolutely crush any project they would need. They're all good to go. There's not really like, well, it's nice, but they're all great. They're
Right.
all properly great. I could use a Z6 III all day long. I could use an
For
R6
sure.
III all day long. I can use the A7V all day, like all of them. Um, it's just kind of like a glass thing and a stylistic thing and like what you're into. That's pretty epic. This
Are you at all disappointed in the lack of open gate?
no, it's not surprising to me.
Not surprising, but are you disappointed at all?
I'd like to see it, but also what would have happened is something that not a lot of people also talk about either is Lumix is the only one doing open gate well.
Right.
Lumix is the only one that's doing it on a codec that makes it make sense to shoot everything open gate. I think Canon's is still a little heavy. It's a little hard to work with. I mean, historically, I think Canon's codecs are always a little bit more heavy than every. I mean, I think motion JPEG on the Canon, what was that? The 5D Mark IV. Their 4K was only motion JPEG, which is like the most insane thing ever.
I don't think
Um,
Lumix has to protect their product segmentation the same way that Sony does. Even though Sony doesn't do that well in any of their cameras,
yeah, they
it's
don't.
like they lock off limitations regardless if it has the hardware to be capable of that or not, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a team thing. I don't know if here's the other caveat to that. We don't know what the difference is in some of the sensors and or processors that make some of this stuff work and not.
Right,
Like,
which is like the conversation how the Z8 could probably do this pretty well, but there's like, well, what could it be? Maybe a memory bandwidth issue,
right.
right? Some of these other very, very minute details that could go into that that we don't normally talk about as a
Yeah.
photography topic.
Yeah, they're like, okay, yeah, you want open gate? Well, it has a 15-minute max limit. It makes
Yeah,
it makes
there
your
you go.
camera super hot.
Uh-huh.
On something like a 45 megapixel sensor bigger, like open gate's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
I think unless you've been doing that thing, and here's the other thing that people forget too. If you're gonna truly want to go open gate for the reasons other than, I think Gerald did a good job at showing just how much of a non-issue this is,
Yeah.
where he showed the full frame. If you go watch his A7V video, he's like, look, like you're really actually not getting that much.
Right.
You're just shoot wider. You would have to do that still anyway. It's like maybe 15% or something like that you're getting.
Right.
The real benefit to open gate is anamorphic, and still Lumix is the only company that has kind of the support feature set to make
Right.
anamorphic work. They have anamorphic stabilization where it's not going to make your footage look like crap. It has all of the tools to de-squeeze and to do
Yeah.
all that stuff. So like, cool.
Gerald laid that out really nicely.
Yeah, and I think that's an important discussion to have as well.
Yeah.
I like OpenGate um, from a content perspective, but it's just because a lot of my kind of currently my studio and everything like that, I just don't have the room to actually zoom out.
Sure.
I often am using a 50. Even 28 is a little tight. I'm really pretty much at the wall. So unless I went to like a 16 mil or a 20, I'm kind of SOL for zooming out.
Mhm.
So a lot of my talking head stuff for Reels and YouTube, it just gets tight, but it's
Sure.
never been that big of a deal. I haven't
Yeah.
had a single issue. I shoot a lot of stuff horizontal for vertical still and haven't had a single issue. It just
Yeah.
you just get over it. Um, It's also so rare that I'm shooting something so good that I think a piece of content's like going to be the next thing. I would probably, if I was doing something narrative and I needed it to be, I would do 2 shots. I would do 2 takes, or I would use 2 cameras and I'd rig it up to have one vertical.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's a tough call.
Or just do it like me at work, and I'm always vertical.
Right. Well, and I'll do that too sometimes. If I know that, like, if I'm just shooting a small piece of content that I know is going to go on shorts, like if
Yeah.
I know this isn't going to be a long form, longer than a minute or two video, I'm shooting vertical.
Yeah.
And it'll conform that in the Sony to be a vertical clip, and I won't even have to spin it or anything, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, that's nice. One also nice point. Higher res EVF. I don't know if you mentioned this.
No, I didn't. But
And then
yeah.
120 refresh rate.
Yep.
120 hertz. This is something that I did not set on my Z8 for about the first, I don't know, 6 months of using it. Recently I did.
Yeah.
And what a difference it makes, because
Yeah.
I adjusted the diopter to my eyesight. Not a lot of diopters, I talked about this before, seemed to get my actual like eyesight, because I have bad eyes, without glasses correctly. The Z8 was able to do it, and so then I then pushed the refresh rate, because you can change it from 60 hertz to 120.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What a magical place to put your eye in.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're doing something with a lot of motion. Obviously, if you're just doing like some casual shooting and you want to preserve battery, that's why they let you switch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, if you're doing birds and stuff and you're like really trying to get a shot, birds and sports, it's a dream
Big
to have.
deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And I think
full size HDMI. Is that new for the A7V? Or is that...
no.
okay.
I think the upgrade was that they did dual USB-C.
Dual yes. Yes.
Because this A7 IV obviously has a mic. I don't even know what the micro port's for. Is that data? Is that so you can pull stuff off it? That's weird.
Intervalometer, maybe.
That's built in, so I don't.
True. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Maybe.
I've never used.
I feel like there was a wired remote of some kind. I don't know. But yeah, so now you can charge and stream at the same time.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it does trickle charging through the USB-C while you're doing that, but I wonder. Yeah,
I mean, what would be the best use case?
I assume it's just data. I really assume like one's a data port and one's a charging port.
And one is that is correct. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a great camera. Everybody makes great cameras. Will I get one? I'm fairly confident. I also kind of in my brain have committed to trying to afford on the same year of getting a wedding together a 28 to 70 f2.
Oh.
So because I've been playing around with wanting the 35 again, and I've been dude, I don't know. It makes no sense not to get that lens. For kind of really wanting to push myself for traveling and getting work, it's just such a freaking dream. Yeah, so
28 to 70 f2 is a dream lens for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's very expensive, but
yes,
you know, I've kept the 70 to 200 for as long as I have, and I've never regretted a single moment of it for how much it costs.
Yeah.
I'm running a freaking A9 III as a main video camera right now, so I feel like it's not that big of a deal. But
also, just as I guess maybe a final note, I don't know if you had more to say, but $2,900, $2,900.
Yep, $2,898.
$2,898. This is against the $2,800 R6 Mark III. So we were all curious where these were going to land. Yeah. I think a lot of people were thinking it could be over $3,000.
I thought it was going to be.
So this is not too bad.
I think this is where they need to be.
$2,500.
Yeah.
A7 III was $1,999, so it's not super surprising to see it go up, especially with tariffs, with inflation, whatnot. But a lot of people thought it was going to be over 3,000. So I don't think a lot of people are going to be super mad at this.
With these specs, I don't care.
No.
I mean, this is a better all-around camera than the A7R5, where I think like the A7R5 absolutely crushed the A7 IV.
For sure.
And the A7R4 was just a little better kind of all around than the A7 IV as well. I would just always take, I don't think just 61 megapixels is enough for me to care over the A7 V. This is a very good camera.
Yeah.
Having owned an A7 V, having the A7CR, and knowing that megapixel is awesome,
Yeah.
the faster sensor, everything about this camera is better than that camera, and it is one of the best cameras Sony has ever made.
The
The
only thing
A7V.
about the A7V that I'm not going to take at face value based on marketing is maybe not the only thing, but how good the autofocus is, especially for wildlife.
Sure.
That's the thing that I had most issues with and why I sold off to get into the Z8 was to just have a more reliable, faster camera, but that autofocus, subject detection, and holding on and tracking all of those things together. I have to think that this was something that the AI chip inside that is going to help with.
Yep.
And you know, I could watch 20 YouTube videos that kind of show it to me, but
Doesn't
until
matter. Yeah,
I
you have to do
use
it.
it, yeah,
Once I got the A9 III set up properly and I'm starting to feel it be right. I mean, I was using the A7CR over the A7 IV.
right,
And I still would choose it over the A7 IV, because the AI is that much better.
yeah,
So I'm excited to see kind of how it holds up against the A9 III,
right,
which still has the separate chip. It doesn't have kind of an all-in-one processor. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, we'll see. So
This is interesting because the A7V closes the gap a little bit on an A9 III in some ways. How do you,
in most of the ways, yeah.
yeah,
I don't regret getting the A9 III because I think I'm like 24 megapixels still is like kind of a dog, but also 120 FPS is a very cool feature.
for sure.
The global shutter is awesome.
Yeah,
The silent shooting is awesome.
yeah,
Knowing that I can silently shoot wildlife and take no hit is awesome,
yes,
especially with small birds and stuff when I'm trying to creep. It's cool. I was fortunate enough to be in a position where I could dump a little bit of money into an A9 III, and I'm not going to regret it. But I could see myself. Well, obviously the A7 IV is works camera, so that's not mine. Doesn't
right,
matter. This would replace that. This would likely replace the A7CR for me.
for sure. Yeah,
I was thinking of selling the A7CR, but I'm going to try and pull it off without doing that because I still think having a third camera is really necessary for the way I do content.
okay,
And I think that I'd probably use the A7CR more how I had planned originally with this new camera, which is running the 45 mil, taking it everywhere I go or whatever.
yeah,
I ended up I end up just kind of leaving the 50 mil 1.4 on it because it's just so much better than the 45 2.5. But we'll see. We have a couple of trips coming up, and we'll see what I choose to throw on it because I'm sure I'll still shoot photos with the CR.
all right,
Um, that's kind of that. But
yeah,
I did want to bring up. So we are going to do a photo share in our next episode. We won't be back until January.
yes,
So you guys have plenty of time to kind of cull and edit if you haven't for the year. But so I'd love to do a big best of 2025 episode with David, and that will include a photo share of your guys' best of 2025 images.
yeah,
So the prompt will be to share with us 1 to 3. Yes, only 1 to 3 images. I don't think we're going to do video or anything like that unless you are a video only fella and you're very proud of a project. I'd be happy to kind of field that
sure,
as it comes in. But 1 to 3 images, the best you have of 2025, doesn't mean you're technically best. It could be your 3 absolute, these just steal my soul and I love them to death photos.
yeah,
I would love if you could include a small blurb about a major change you made in your photography in 2025 and also what you want to work on most in 2026.
I like that.
I think that could be a fun little episode. So
I like that a lot.
we'll post about that in the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, just DM. Our Instagrams are on the screen. You can reach out to David or I or light overtime, light period overtime on Instagram, and we'll get back to you and let you in on the Discord fun. Yeah.
I would also check us out on Instagram. You might see some stories here just to remind us of that.
Yep.
I would say, are we thinking that the next episode will be the photo share? So we want to be
Yeah.
putting that in a couple of places.
Yeah, we're gonna plan a best of, so we'll post about it plenty.
Yeah.
And we'll keep reminding in the Discord too, because I think it'll probably be relatively early in January. I have to go to Vegas for an industry thing for like a week later
Yeah.
in January, so I'll be like kind of really wrapped up in the
Cool.
latter half. So yeah, should be fun. I'm excited to see some of your guys' photos, especially keeping it as open as just your best and favorite will be kind of cool
Yeah.
because we should have a good smorgasbord of content to look
I
at.
would say so.
And
Even
so-
myself, I edited so much more than I've posted.
Oh yeah.
Like people have seen 1% of the things I've edited.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't really post a lot of what I do at work here, and I have some absolute bangers that I really love from work.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Mexico. There's a lot of stuff that happened this year, so
Yeah.
we shall see. Other than that, thanks for listening. Have a happy holidays and everything. Stay warm. It can be kind of lonely, so if you're just trying to make some friends, join the Discord.
Yes, we'd love to have you.
That's all I got for you.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in January.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.